A masked figure slips through the vibrant chaos of the Venice Carnival, their cloak trailing like a shadow. By dawn, a body lies cold in a moonlit canal. Only one man can unravel the mystery. Hercule Poirot. Chapter 1. The Carnival's Glittering. Masked The Venice Carnival is a whirlwind of color, music, and mystery. Picture this. It's 1930, and the city's canals reflect 1,000 lanterns as masked revelers dance through the night. The air hums with laughter, the clink of wine glasses, and the rustle of silk costumes. In this dazzling chaos, Hercule Poirot, the world's greatest detective, steps off a gondola onto the cobblestone streets of Venice. His sharp eyes scan the crowd, his mustache twitching with curiosity. He's here for a rare holiday, a chance to escape the endless cases that follow him like shadows. But fate, as always, has other plans. Tonight, the carnival hides a deadly secret, and Poirot's keen mind is about to be tested. Our story begins at the Palazzo Ducali, where a grand masquerade ball is in full swing. The chandeliers gleam, casting golden light over swirling dancers in elaborate masks, harlequins, jesters, and mysterious figures draped in velvet. Poirot, dressed in a simple but elegant black domino, sips a glass of Prosecco, observing the crowd. He's not one for dancing, but he loves watching people, reading their gestures, their glances. To him, every person is a puzzle, and tonight, the puzzle is about to deepen. Among the guests is Signora Isabella Moretti, a wealthy widow known for her beauty and her scandals. She floats through the room in a crimson gown, her mask adorned with peacock feathers, drawing whispers and envious stares. By her side is her young lover, Carlo Viti, a charming but reckless artist with debts piling higher than the Venetian tides. As the clock strikes midnight, the music pauses and a scream pierces the air. The crowd parts, revealing a ghastly sight. Signora Moretti lies crumpled on the marble floor, a dagger in her chest, her crimson gown now stained darker with blood. Gasps ripple through the room, masks hiding the guilty and the innocent alike. The police arrive, led by Commissario Rossi, a gruff man who's quick to suspect Carlo, the lover with motive and opportunity. But Poirot, standing quietly in the corner, notices something the others miss. Single pearl earring clutched in Isabella's hand. Its match nowhere to be found. This tiny clue, he knows, is the key to unlocking the truth. Poirot steps forward, his calm voice cutting through the chaos. "Mise Amos," he says, "this is no simple crime of passion. The little grey cells, they tell me there is more to this murder than meets the eye." He convinces Rossi to let him assist, promising to untangle the web of secrets before the carnival ends in 3 days. The stakes are high. A killer is hiding among the masked revelers, and the longer they remain free, the more danger looms over Venice. Poirot begins his investigation by interviewing the key players. Carlo, who swears his love for Isabella was true. Her estranged brother Matteo, who resented her wealth. And Lady Eleanor Grayson, an English aristocrat with a mysterious connection to the victim. Each has a story, and each Poirot suspects is hiding something. The carnival's magic becomes a double-edged sword. Its masks and costumes make it easy for the killer to blend in, but they also give Poirot a unique advantage. People reveal their true selves when they think they're hidden, and Poirot is a master at reading what lies beneath. As he moves through the crowded streets, he picks up whispers of Isabella's past rumors, of a stolen fortune, a secret lover, and a betrayal that may have led to her death. The chapter closes with Poirot standing by a canal, the moonlight glinting off the water, his mind racing. The pearl earring, he muses, is not just a clue, but a message. But from whom and to whom? This is just the beginning of our tale. The Venice Carnival is a maze of deception, and Poirot's journey has only begun. In the next chapter, we'll follow him as he digs deeper into the lives of the suspects, uncovering secrets that threaten to unravel the very heart of Venice. Chapter 2. Shadows of the past as dawn breaks over Venice. Casting a golden hue on the misty canals, Hercule Poirot wastes no time. With the carnival still echoing in the streets, he sets out to peel back the layers of the suspects' lives, starting with Carlo Viti, the young artist and Isabella Moretti's lover. Poirot meets Carlo in a dimly lit studio overlooking the Grand Canal, where canvases splashed with vibrant colors contrast the somber mood. Carlo, his eyes red from grief or guilt, paces nervously, insisting he loved Isabella deeply and would never harm her. But Poirot's little grey cells buzz with questions. He presses Carlo about his debts, whispers from the ball suggest he owed thousands to shady lenders, and Isabella's fortune was his lifeline. Carlo admits to borrowing money, but claims Isabella promised to pay it off after they married. Poirot notices a fresh sketch on the easel, a portrait of Isabella, her pearl earrings gleaming. One earring matches the clue from the crime scene. Carlo says she gifted him the pair, but one went missing days ago. Is it coincidence or something more sinister? Poirot leaves with doubts, noting Carlo's trembling hands a sign of fear. Perhaps. Next, Poirot turns to Matteo Moretti, Isabella's estranged brother, who lives in a crumbling palazzo on the outskirts of the city. Matteo, a bitter man with a limp from an old accident, greets Poirot with hostility. He resents Isabella for inheriting the family fortune while he scraped by as a failed merchant. She flaunted her wealth while I starved, Matteo snarls, his voice laced with venom. Poirot learns of a recent argument. Isabella refused to bail him out of bankruptcy, calling him a leech. Matteo has an alibi, was at a taverna across town, but Poirot spots a lie in his eyes. Digging deeper, Poirot discovers Matteo's secret. He's been forging documents to claim part of the estate. And that pearl earring, Matteo recalls Isabella wearing them as family heirlooms passed down from their mother. Could jealousy have driven him to murder? As Poirot probes Matteo, lets slip a detail about a masked figure seen arguing with Isabella before the ball. It's a lead, but Matteo clams up, his face paling. The investigation leads Poirot to Lady Eleanor Grayson, the enigmatic English aristocrat staying at the luxurious Hotel Danieli. She's a vision in emerald silk, her composure like polished steel. Eleanor claims friendship with Isabella from their days in Paris, but Poirot senses evasion. She was at the ball, masked as a Columbine, and admits to speaking with Isabella moments. Before the scream, "We discussed old times," she says coolly. But Poirot uncovers her motive. Years ago, Isabella stole Eleanor's fiancé, a scandal that ruined her reputation. Now, Eleanor is in Venice, incognito, perhaps seeking revenge. Poirot finds a letter in her room slipped to him by a discreet maid hinting at blackmail. Isabella knew Eleanor's dark secret, an illegitimate child hidden away, and the pearls. Eleanor owns a similar pair, bought in imitation of Isabella's. One is missing from her jewelry box. Coincidence again? Poirot confronts her, and she breaks slightly, admitting resentment but denying murder. As the day wears on, the carnival's festivities provide cover for Poirot's movements. He wanders the crowded piazzas, where acrobats tumble and musicians play haunting melodies on violins. Disguised in a tricorn hat, he eavesdrops on gossip, tales of Isabella's affairs, her ruthless business dealings, and a rumoured enemy from her past arrival, collector of rare artifacts. Poirot visits the Moretti family vault in San Michel's cemetery, a eerie island reachable only by boat. There, among marble tombs, he finds clues in old letters, Isabella's will, recently changed to exclude Matteo and favour Carlo. But there's a codicil mentioning a betrayed friend. Could it be Eleanor? The pearl earring, he realizes, might symbolize a broken bond. Commissario Rossi grows impatient, pressuring Poirot for answers as the city buzzes with fear. Another scream echoes at dusk, a false alarm, but it heightens the tension. Poirot gathers the suspects for informal questioning at a cafe by the Rialto Bridge, where gondolas glide silently below. Tensions flare. Carlo accuses Matteo of greed. Matteo points to Eleanor's jealousy, and Eleanor suggests an outsider. Poirot observes their interactions, noting alliances and animosities. A waiter mentions seeing a cloaked figure tossing something into the canal near the palazzo, perhaps the matching earring. Poirot arranges a dive, but night falls too quickly. The chapter builds to a revelation. Poirot deciphers a coded note found in Isabella's purse, hinting at a fourth suspector, mysterious. V, who threatened her life. Who is V? The plot thickens as Poirot pieces together alibis that don't hold water. Carlo's studio was unlocked. Matteo's taverna, friends are unreliable. Eleanor's hotel room overlooks the crime scene. The carnival's masks blur truth and lie. But Poirot's mind sharpens. With the sun setting on the lagoon, Poirot reflects on the day's discoveries. Secrets swirl like the canal waters, each suspect a thread in a tangled web. But the killer's mistake is underestimating the Belgian detective. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the heart of the carnival, where a chase through the streets uncovers a shocking alliance and a hidden weapon. Chapter 3. The chase through the labyrinth. The second day of the Venice Carnival dawns with a sense of urgency. The streets alive with parades and performers in glittering costumes. Hercule Poirot, fueled by strong espresso, decides to follow. The lead from the coded note, the mysterious V, who threatened Isabella Moretti. He starts at the bustling Piazza San Marco, where pigeons flutter amid the crowds, and the basilica's domes gleam under the sun. Disguised as a humble tourist in a wide-brimmed hat, Poirot blends in, his eyes sharp behind tinted glasses. He knows the carnival's labyrinth of alleys and bridges is the perfect place for secrets to hide, but also for them to be chased out into the open. His plan shadowed the suspects during the day's festivities, hoping one will slip and reveal a connection to V. Poirot first spots Carlo Vitti near the Campanile Tower, sketching the parade with frantic strokes. Carlo seems agitated, glancing over his shoulder as if expecting pursuit. Poirot follows him discreetly as he weaves through the throng of masked jesters and fire-eaters. Suddenly, Carlo darts into a narrow cale, meeting a cloaked figure in the shadows. Poirot edges closer, overhearing whispers, the weapon, hidden in the gondola. V will pay. Carlo hands over a small package, and the figure vanishes into the crowd. Poirot's heart races. This could be the break he needs. He tails Carlo to a boatyard by the arsenal, where gondolas bob in the water. There, Carlo retrieves a hidden dagger. From under his seat, its blade etched with a serpent design, matching the murder weapon's description. But as Poirot approaches, Carlo spots him and bolts, sparking a chase through the twisting streets. The pursuit is a whirlwind. Carlo leaps over bridges, dodging revelers in feathered masks, while Poirot, surprisingly agile for his build, keeps pace, his cane tapping rhythmically. They race past the Bridge of Sighs, where tourists gasp at the commotion. Carlo knocks over a vendor's cart of sweets, scattering candies like confetti, but Poirot vaults over it, calling out, "Monsieur Viti, stop. The little grey cells know your game." Carlo slips into a crowded masked procession, blending with harlequins, but Poirot notices his distinctive red scarf. The chase leads to the Rialto market, alive with fishmongers and spice sellers. Carlo hides behind crates of octopus, but Poirot flushes him out by pretending to alert the police. Finally, cornered in a dead-end alley, Carlo collapses, sobbing. "It wasn't me," he gasps. V is Vittorio, Isabella's secret partner in art forgery. He killed her over a dispute. This revelation stuns Poirot. Vittorio Russo, a notorious forger rumored to operate from a hidden workshop in Dorso Duro. Carlo confesses he was blackmailed into helping hide the weapon Vittorio threatened to expose his own forgeries. But Carlo swears he didn't kill Isabella. He loved her too much. Poirot secures the dagger as evidence, its handle bearing faint fingerprints. He lets Carlo go under watch, knowing he's a pawn, not the king. Now, the hunt turns to Vittorio. Poirot enlists Commissario Rossi's help too. Raid the workshop, but first, he crosses paths with Matteo Moretti at a carnival puppet show. Matteo, puppeteering a marionette of a devil, freezes when Poirot questions him about V. Matteo denies knowing Vittorio, but sweats profusely, his limp more pronounced as he hurries away. Poirot suspects an alliance perhaps Matteo supplied. Vittorio with family artifacts to forge. The plot thickens when Lady Eleanor Grayson appears at a canal-side cafe, sipping tea amid the chaos. She approaches Poirot boldly, whispering, "I know about V. Isabella and I were partners too, selling fakes to collectors, but she double-crossed us." Eleanor reveals a shocking alliance. She and Matteo plotted to scare Isabella, not kill her. But Vittorio went rogue, driven by greed. To prove it, she shows Poirot a letter from Vittorio demanding payment, signed with a serpent seal. Poirot's mind whirs. The pearl earring was Isabella's signal for help, torn off during the struggle. But why clutch it? Perhaps to point to the forgeries, as the pearls were fake. Part of their scheme, as evening falls, fireworks light the sky, and Poirot orchestrates a trap. He spreads word that the dagger is found, luring Vittorio out. Sure enough, a cloaked figure Vittorio snakes toward the Palazzo Ducali. Another chase ensues, this time through gondola-filled canals. Vittorio jumps into a boat, poling frantically, but Poirot commandeers one with Rossi's men. They pursue under bridges, the water splashing as Vittorio hurls insults. "You'll never catch me, detective," he shouts, but Poirot anticipates his route, blocking him at a narrow pass. Vittorio is captured, ranting about betrayal. In his pocket, the matching pearl earring, stolen as a trophy, interrogated at the Questura. Vittorio confesses, partially, he stabbed Isabella in rage over unpaid shares, but claims an accomplice gave him the opportunity. Who? His eyes dart to the door as Matteo and Eleanor are brought in. Accusations fly. Matteo provided the dagger, Eleanor distracted the crowd. Poirot pieces it, a conspiracy unraveled by greed. Yet, something nags alibis overlap strangely. The chapter winds down with Poirot by the lagoon, the carnival's lights twinkling. The hidden weapon and alliance expose layers of deceit, But the full truth lurks deeper. Is Vittorio the soul killer or a scapegoat? In the next chapter, we'll uncover buried secrets in Isabella's past, leading to a dramatic confrontation. Amid the carnival's grand finale. Chapter 4. Buried Secrets, unearthed the third day of the Venice Carnival, brings a storm brewing over the Adriatic. Dark clouds mirroring the shadows in Hercule Poirot's investigation, with Vittorio Russo in custody, confessing to the stabbing. But hinting at accomplices, Poirot delves into Isabella Moretti's murky past, convinced the roots of her murder lie buried in forgotten scandals. He starts at the Biblioteca Marciana, Venice's ancient library in Piazza San Marco, where dusty archives hold the city's secrets. Surrounded by towering shelves of leather-bound volumes, Poirot pores over old newspapers and family records, his magnifying glass glinting under the lamplight. He uncovers Isabella's early life. Born into wealth, she was orphaned young, inheriting a fortune tied to rare artifacts, including a collection of pearls said to be cursed. Family legend claims they bring betrayal to their owners. The pearl earring, Poirot realizes, wasn't just a clue but a symbol of that curse. Perhaps planted to mislead. Piecing together fragments, Poirot learns of Isabella's time in Paris during the 1920s, a whirlwind of art, romance, and deceit. She mingled with bohemians, forging alliances that turned sour. One name recurs. Vittorio was her apprentice in forgery. But there was another, a shadowy figure named Lucia Bianchi, Isabella's former maid turned rival, who vanished after a theft. Accusation. Could Lucia be the missing link, the true V, or an avenger? Poirot cross-references with Elena's confessions. Yes, Lucia was involved in their forgery ring, betrayed by Isabella, who framed her for a heist gone wrong. Lucia swore revenge, disappearing into Venice's underbelly. Armed with a faded photograph from the archives, Lucia, wearing identical pearl earrings, Poirot senses the net tightening. He dispatches Rossi to search for Lucia, described as a woman with a scar on her cheek, likely hiding among the carnival's performers. Meanwhile, the suspects grow restless. Poirot arranges a meeting at Isabella's palazzo, now sealed by police. Tape, its opulent rooms echoing with ghosts. Carlo arrives first, pale and defiant, clutching a locket with Isabella's portrait. She had enemies everywhere, he admits under Poirot's probing. Matteo follows, limping in with feigned indifference. But his eyes betray fear when Poirot mentions Lucia. That which long dead, he mutters, but Poirot notes his clenched fists. Eleanor sweeps in last, her composure cracking as Poirot reveals the curse legend. Isabella laughed at it, but she kept the pearls close, Eleanor says, her voice trembling. In a tense gathering in the salon, accusations erupt. Carlo blames Vittorio fully. Matteo points to Eleanor's jealousy fueling the plot, and Eleanor insists Lucia orchestrated it all from afar. Poirot observes silently, his little grey cells connecting dots of forged will, stolen artifacts sold on the black market, and a betrayal that spanned decades, as the carnival reaches its crescendo, with the grand finale parade snaking through the streets. Poirot sets a trap. He leaks word of a secret auction for Isabella's pearls at the Codoro Palace, drawing out the culprit. The streets throb with drums and trumpets, massed crowds surging like a living tapestry. Poirot, disguised as a nobleman in gold brocade, positions himself near the palace steps. Rossi's men lurk in the shadows. Suddenly, a figure in a black plague doctor mask approaches, hand outstretched for the pearls. It's Lucia, scar visible. Under the beak-like mask, she grabs a fake earring Poirot offers, snarling, "These should have been mine." But as she turns to flee, Carlo lunges from the crowd, unmasking himself. "You killed her, not Vittorio," he shouts. Chaos ensues. Lucia fights back, revealing she manipulated Vittorio to strike while she provided the dagger, motivated by years of resentment. Matteo and Eleanor, exposed as her informants, try to escape but are caught in the parade's crush. The confrontation peaks amid fireworks exploding overhead, illuminating the Grand Canal. Lucia confesses in a frenzy. Isabella framed her for theft, ruining her life, and the forgery ring was her revenge scheme. She clutched the earring to implicate Eleanor, but it backfired. Poirot steps forward, his voice steady. "Madame, your mask hid your face, but not your soul. The curse of the pearls is greed, and it has claimed you all." Rossi arrests the trio Lucia as the mastermind, Vittorio, the hand, Matteo, and Eleanor. The enablers, Carlo, cleared but heartbroken, weeps as the truth dawns. His love was real but tangled in lies. As the carnival winds down, revelers unmasking under the stars, Poirot stands on a bridge, watching gondolas fade into the night. The buried secrets are unearthed, the puzzle solved, but Venice's allure remains eternal. Yet, one final twist lingers a loose end in the will. In the next chapter, we'll witness the dramatic denouement, where Poirot gathers all for the ultimate revelation, tying every thread in a bow of justice. Chapter 5. The Grand Denouement. The final night of the Venice Carnival envelops the city in a tapestry of lights and shadows. Hercule Poirot summons all involved to the Palazzo Ducali's Grand Hall, where the murder unfolded just days ago. The room, now dimly lit by flickering candles, holds an air of solemn anticipation. The suspects, Carlo Vetti, Matteo Moretti, Lady Eleanor Grayson, Vittorio Rousseau, and the newly captured Lucia Bianca sit in a tense circle, guarded by Commissario Rossi's officers. Revelers' laughter echoes faintly from the streets outside, a stark contrast to the gravity within. Poirot, poised at the center like a conductor before his orchestra, adjusts his mustache and begins. "Mesdames et messieurs, the carnival is a masquerade of illusions, but tonight we unmask the truth. The murder of Signora Isabella Moretti was not a solitary act, but a symphony of betrayal composed by greed and vengeance." Poirot recounts the web step by step, his voice measured and precise. He starts with the pearl earring clutched in Isabella's dying hand, not a random clue, but a deliberate accusation. The pearls were fakes, forged by Vittorio under Isabella's direction, part of a scheme that enriched her while ruining others. Lucia, the betrayed maid, masterminded the plot from the shadows, enlisting Vittorio as the assassin. "You, madame," Beyoncé Poirot points, framed for theft years ago, returned as a ghost of the past. "You supplied the dagger etched with the serpenture symbol of revenge." Lucia sneers, but her eyes waver. Poirot reveals how she infiltrated the ball disguised as a servant, slipping poison into Isabella's wine to weaken her before the stab, ensuring a quiet kill amid the noise. Turning to the accomplices, Poirot exposes Matteo's role, driven by resentment. He altered the family will to favor himself, providing Lucia with inside knowledge of Isabella's movements. "Your limp, Monsieur Moretti, was no hindrance. You limped away from the taverna early." Meeting Lucia to confirm the plan, Matteo slumps, defeated. Eleanor, the jealous friend, distracted the crowd with a feigned argument, creating the window for the strike. Lady Grayson, your old-times chat was a diversion, laced with hints of blackmail to unsettle the victim. She nods tearfully, admitting her part in the forgery ring's collapse. Carlo, though innocent of murder, knew of the fakes but stayed silent for love. You, Monsieur Viti, sketched the truth in your art, but fear silenced you. The climax builds as Poirot unveils the final twist. The coded notes V stood not just for Vittorio, but for vendetta, Lucia's alias in underground circles. He produces the real matching earring recovered from Lucia's hideout, proving she tore it during the struggle to plant false evidence on Eleanor. Vittorio, chained and furious, confirms under pressure, Lucia promised me half the fortune. But Poirot counters with fingerprints on the dagger Lucia's own, overlooked in the haste. The room erupts in denials, but evidence mounts. Witness statements from carnival performers who saw Lucia arguing with Isabella, and a hidden ledger detailing the conspiracy. Commissario Rossi steps forward, cuffs ready, as Poirot concludes. The little grey cells have spoken. Justice, like the tide, washes away the masks. The arrests proceed amid sobs and curses, the group led away as fireworks burst outside, signalling the carnival's end. Carlo, exonerated, thanks Poirot quietly, vowing to paint in Isabella's memory. Rossi shakes Poirot's hand, grumbling admiration for the Belgian's methods. Poirot steps onto the balcony, gazing at the starry lagoon. The case closed, Venice's secrets sealed once more, but echoes of the carnival linger, hinting at untold stories. In the next chapter, we'll explore the aftermath, where loose ends tie up and Poirot reflects on the human folly that turns festivity into tragedy. Chapter 6. The aftermath of Masks. The Venice Carnival fades into memory as dawn breaks over the city, its canals shimmering with the last traces of festival lights. Hercule Poirot sits in a quiet cafe near the Rialto Bridge, sipping espresso, his mind still turning over the case's resolution. The arrests of Lucia, Beyoncé Vittorio, Rousseau, Matteo Moretti, and Lady Eleanor Grayson have sent ripples through Venice's high society, but for Poirot, the work is not quite done. Loose ends remain, and the human heart, he knows, is a puzzle that never fully resolves. Tonight, he must tie up the final threads of the conspiracy, ensuring no shadow of doubt lingers. The city, now unmasked, feels both lighter and heavier, as if the truth has lifted a veil but left scars beneath. Poirot begins the day by visiting Carlo Viti at his studio, where the young artist is packing his canvases, preparing to leave Venice. The air smells of turpentine, and sketches of Isabella Moretti litter the room, her face hauntingly alive in charcoal and oil. Carlo, though cleared of murder, carries the weight of guilt for his silence about the forgeries. "I should have spoken sooner," he admits, his voice breaking. Poirot, ever compassionate, places a hand on his shoulder. "Monsieur, love blinds us, but it also redeems. Paint her truth, not her tragedy." He hands Carlo a small sketchbook, found among Isabella's belongings, a gift she meant for him, filled with her own drawings of Venice. Carlo's eyes well up, and Poirot leaves him to heal, noting the artist's resolve to start anew, perhaps in Florence. Next, Poirot meets Commissario Rossi at the Questura, where the suspects await their fates. The police station hums with activity, officers cataloguing evidence under the flicker of gas lamps. Rossi, grudgingly impressed by Poirot's brilliance, shares new findings: a hidden bank account in Isabella's name, filled with profits from the forgery ring, now frozen by authorities. Lucia, in her cell, remains defiant, spitting curses about Isabella's betrayal. Poirot questions her one last time, seeking clarity on the pearl earrings curse. "They were my mother's," Lucia hisses, "stolen by Isabella to mock me." The curse, it seems, was her own invention, a story to fuel her vendetta. Poirot nods, satisfied, but notices a flicker of regret in her eyes. Even vengeance, he muses, leaves a bitter taste. Matteo Moretti, meanwhile, confesses to forging the will in a desperate bid for wealth, but he denies knowing Lucia's full plan. His limp, Poirot deduces, worsened under stress, a physical echo of his moral collapse. Eleanor Grayson, stripped of her aristocratic poise, writes a letter to her long-lost child, promising to make amends. Poirot, reading her words, sees a glimmer of redemption. "The carnival, Madame, reveals us all," he says softly, leaving her to her conscience. Vittorio, the weakest link, begs for leniency, but his fingerprints on the dagger seal his fate. Rossi assures Poirot that justice will be swift, though Venice's courts are as tangled as its canals. To close the case, Poirot returns to the Palazzo Ducali, where the masquerade ball's grandeur now feels like a distant dream. He examines Isabella's will one last time, found in a hidden drawer during a final search. The codicil, overlooked before, names a charity as her true heir, final act of defiance against her greedy circle. The pearls, fake but symbolic, were to be donated to a museum, their curse laid to rest. Poirot smiles faintly. Isabella, for all her flaws, had a spark of good. He hands the document to Rossi, ensuring her wishes are honored as evening falls. Poirot strolls along the Grand Canal, gondolas gliding silently past. The city breathes easier, its secrets exposed, but Poirot feels the weight of human folly. Greed, love, revenge, they wove the tragedy, and the carnival merely amplified their dance. He pauses by a bridge, watching a lone musician play a violin, the notes drifting like memories. The case has taught him, once again, that truth lies not in masks, but in the hearts beneath. This chapter closes with Venice settling into quiet, the carnival's magic fading. But Poirot's work is far from over. New mysteries await. In the next chapter, we'll follow him as he uncovers a hidden letter that hints at a larger conspiracy beyond the carnival, threatening to shake Venice's very foundations. Chapter 7. The Hidden Letter, the morning after the carnival's end. Venice awakens to a misty calm, its streets eerily quiet without the revelry. The once vibrant canals now reflect a subdued grey sky, and the air carries a faint chill, as if the city itself is recovering from the excesses of the festival. Hercule Poirot, ever restless even after closing a case, sits in his luxurious room at the gritty palace, overlooking the Grand Canal. The hotel's opulent decor, velvet drapes, gilded mirrors, and marble floors does little to distract him from the lingering unease in his mind. He sips a cup of strong tea, his favorite blend imported from Belgium, while reviewing his notes from the Moretti investigation. The arrests have been made, the confessions extracted, but Poirot's famous little grey cells hum with a persistent doubt. Something feels incomplete, like a puzzle with one edge piece slightly askew. He adjusts his impeccably waxed moustache and mutters to himself, "Mon ami, the carnival may be over, but the masks... they do not all fall so easily." As if fate itself is listening, a soft knock echoes at the door. It's the bellboy, a young lad, with wide eyes and a crisp uniform, holding a small, unassuming package wrapped in brown paper. "Signore Poirot," he says breathlessly, This was left for you at the front desk. No sender, just your name." Poirot thanks him with a tip and a nod, then carefully unwraps the parcel once alone. Inside is a sealed envelope, its paper slightly yellowed, as if aged by time or water. The address reads simply, "The Detective." His pulse quickens. This is no ordinary correspondence. Breaking the wax seal a faint imprint of a lion's head, he unfolds the letter. It's written in Isabella Moretti's elegant, flowing script, dated just days before her murder. The words leap off the page. "If you are reading this, I am likely dead. The shadows that pursue me are deeper than you know. Seek the lion's vault beneath the wings of St. Mark. There lies the truth of the orderer. Conspiracy that devours art and souls alike. Trust no one, for betrayal wears many faces." I am. Poirot's eyes narrow, his mind racing. The lion's vault, the order. This hints at a larger web, far beyond the personal vendettas he uncovered. Isabella was not merely a victim of greed and revenge. She was entangled in something grander, perhaps a secret society manipulating the art world across Europe. He recalls whispers from his Paris days rumors of an elite group called the Order of the Lion, collectors who dealt in forgeries and stolen masterpieces, pulling strings from the shadows. Could Isabella have been part of it, or its undoing? The letter mentions ties to powerful figures in Paris and London, names blurred by ink, but suggestive enough to ignite his curiosity. "Ah, Madame," Poirot whispers to the empty room, "you leave me a breadcrumb trail, even from the grave. 'Twas been, I shall follow." Wasting no time, Poirot dons his overcoat and hat, stepping out into the foggy Venetian morning. The streets are sparsely populated, a few early risers hurrying to markets or churches. He hails a gondola, directing the gondolier to the Biblioteca Marciana, Venice's ancient library nestled in the heart of Piazza San Marco. The journey along the canal is serene, the water lapping gently against the boat, but Poirot's thoughts churn like a storm. Upon arrival, the piazza is quiet, pigeons cooing around the towering camp. The library's grand facade, with its arched windows and marble columns, welcomes him like an old friend. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of aged paper and leather bindings. Poirot approaches the librarian, a scholarly woman with spectacles perched on her nose, and requests access to the archives on Venetian secret societies and art collections. Hours pass as Poirot immerses himself in dusty tomes and yellowed manuscripts. His magnifying glass hovers over faded texts, revealing cryptic references to the Order of the Lion, a clandestine group founded in the Renaissance, ostensibly to protect Venice's artistic heritage, but corrupted over centuries into a syndicate of forgers and thieves. One record stands out, a 19th century ledger mentioning the Lion's Vault, a hidden chamber said to lie beneath the Basilica of San Marco, accessible only through ancient tunnels. The vault was rumored to house incriminating documents and priceless artifacts. Poirot cross-references this with Isabella's letter. Beneath the wings of St. Mark must refer to the winged lion statue atop the basilica, symbol of Venice. But how to find the entrance? A clue emerges in an old map tucked into a book on Venetian architecture, subtle marking, indicating a passage starting from a nearby palazzo. Energized by the discovery, Poirot heads to a small gallery in the Cannaregio district where Isabella was known to frequent. The gallery, run by an eccentric curator named Signor Alfredo Bellini, is a cozy space filled with canvases depicting Venetian landscapes and mythical scenes. Bellini, a portly man with a bushy beard and twinkling eyes, greets Poirot warmly. "Ah, the famous detective. What brings you to my humble abode?" Poirot, ever charming, inquires about a specific painting Isabella owned, depiction of St. Mark's lion roaring over the city. Bellini's face lights up. "Yes, she purchased it from me years ago. Claimed it held secrets of the heart. Why, do you ask?" Poirot explains vaguely about tying up loose ends in the case, and Bellini, intrigued, allows him to examine a similar work in his collection. Under the gallery's soft lighting, Poirot scrutinizes the painting. The lion's eyes seem to gleam with hidden intent. Using his magnifying glass, he spots faint etchings in the background, a stylized map of Venice's underground tunnels, leading from the piazza to a chamber marked with a lion's paw. "Eureka!" Poirot exclaims inwardly, thanking Bellini profusely. He slips out, his steps quickening towards San Marco. But caution prevails. If the order is as powerful as suspected, he cannot go alone. He telephones Commissario Rossi, briefing him on the letter and urging discretion. Rossi, skeptical but indebted to Poirot, agrees to meet with a small team of trusted officers. As dusk falls, casting long shadows over the piazza, Poirot and Rossi's men gather discreetly, disguised in simple cloaks to blend with lingering tourists. They locate the entrancer, concealed great behind a column in the Procurity Vecchi. With a crowbar, they pry it open, descending into the damp, echoing tunnels below. The air grows cooler, musty with centuries of neglect. Lanterns flicker, illuminating graffiti from bygone eras and scurrying rats. Poirot leads, his cane tapping against the stone floor, following the map's twists and turns. "Be vigilant, Mies, Amos," he whispers. "The lion guards its den fiercely." After navigating a labyrinth of passages, narrow squeezes, and low ceilings, they reach a heavy door carved with a roaring lion. A lock, rusted but intricate, yields to Poirot's lock-picking skills, honed from years of detective work. The door creaks open, revealing the lion's vault, a cavernous room lined with shelves of documents, crates of artworks, and a central table strewn with ledgers. Dust motes dance in the lantern light. Poirot's eyes widen at the trough-forged masterpieces mimicking Titian and Canaletto. Stacks of correspondence detailing illicit sales, and a master ledger naming members of the order. Flipping through it, one name leaps out. Signor Antonio Conti, a prominent Venetian councillor and art patron. Conti, Poirot recalls, attended the masquerade ball, masked as a doge, and was seen whispering intently with Isabella moments before her death. The ledger reveals him as the order's financier, profiting immensely from the forgeries. Entries suggest he orchestrated her murder through intermediaries like Lucia, fearing she would expose the group. "This is it," Poirot says to Rossi, his voice echoing the heart of the conspiracy. They gather evidence documents, a few small artifacts, stuffing them into satchels. But as they prepare to leave, footsteps echo from the tunnel. A cloaked figure emerges. Conti himself, pistol in hand, his face twisted in rage. "You meddlesome Belgian, how dare you invade my domain?" He must have been tipped off, perhaps by a lingering spy. Rossi's men draw weapons, but Poirot raises a hand for calm. "Monsieur Conti, the game is up. Your order crumbles like these ancient walls. Surrender, and perhaps mercy awaits." Conti laughs bitterly, aiming the gun. "You underestimate us." The lion roars eternal. A tense standoff ensues, the vault's air thick with tension. Poirot, thinking swiftly, notices a loose stone in the ceiling. He gestures subtly to Rossi, who fires a warning shot upward, dislodging debris that rains down. On Conti, in the chaos, the officers subdue him, cuffing his wrists. Conti spits curses, but his defiance cracks under interrogation on the spot. Isabella was a traitor, he snarls. She joined us for wealth, then turned informant. I had to silence her. The pearl earrings, he confesses, were a signal within. The order a warning of betrayal that Isabella tried to use against him. With Conti in custody, Poirot and Rossi orchestrate a swift raid on the orders known. Meeting place a hidden chamber beneath the Doge's palace. Under cover of night, police boats converge, officers storming the opulent room where masked figures once conspired. Arrests are made, artifacts seized, the network's Venetian branch dismantled in one fell swoop. News spreads like wildfire through the city, headlines praising the takedown of a centuries-old corruption as night deepens. Poirot stands in Piazza San Marco, the basilica aglow under the stars. The hidden letter has unveiled a truth larger than one murder, exposing a rot that threatened Venice's soul. But he knows the order's tentacles reach further into Paris, London, perhaps beyond. The lion is wounded, he muses, but not slain. In the next chapter, we'll join Poirot as he follows a lead to Paris, chasing the threads of this conspiracy across borders. Chapter 8. The Parisian Connection. Hercule Poirot boards a train at Venice's Santa Lucia station. The city's canals fading behind him as he heads to Paris, chasing the threads of the Order of the Lion's conspiracy. The ledger from the Lions. Vault named a Parisian art dealer, Madame Celeste Dubourg, as a key player. Woman Isabella once trusted, then betrayed. Poirot's journey is no holiday. The stakes are high, with the Order's influence threatening to corrupt the art world across Europe. As the train rattles through the Alps, Poirot studies a photograph from the vault. Celeste and Isabella at a Paris gallery opening, both wearing pearl earrings fakes, he now knows, used as signals within the Order. His mission, find Celeste, uncover her role, and stop the network's spread. Arriving in Paris, Poirot navigates the bustling Montmartre district, where artists and dealers thrive amid smoky cafes and neon signs. Celeste's gallery, Galerie Lumière, is a chic haven of gilded frames and hushed deals. She greets Poirot with a practiced smile, her silver hair and sharp eyes giving nothing away. Monsieur Poirot, a pleasure, she says, offering champagne. But Poirot, ever observant, notes her fingers twitch when he mentions Isabella. Over tea, he probes gently, weaving a tale of admiring her collection. Celeste boasts of rare acquisitions, but Poirot spots a forged Renoir on the wallet's brushstrokes. To perfect, a hallmark of Vittorio's work. He presses her. Did Signora Moretti supply this, Madame? Her smile falters. To gain her trust, Poirot poses as a buyer seeking a rare Titian hinted at in the ledger. Celeste, tempted by profit, invites him to a private auction at a chateau. Outside Paris, disguised in a tailored suit, Poirot attends, mingling with Europe's elite collectors. The auction is a front for the Order, with coded bids hiding illegal trades. Poirot overhears Celeste arguing with a man in a velvet mask, identified as Henry Laurent, a corrupt official tied to the Order. Laurent threatens to expose Celeste, unless she delivers the Titian stolen by Isabella and hidden in Venice. Poirot realizes Isabella's murder was partly to recover this painting, a key to the Order's wealth. The night turns tense as Poirot follows Celeste to a secret meeting in the chateau's wine cellar. armed with a pocket recorder, rare device. For 1930 he captures her, confessing to ordering Isabella's death through Conti, fearing her betrayal would ruin them all. She was going to the police, Celeste hisses. But Laurent interrupts, drawing a pistol. Poirot, thinking fast, knocks over a wine rack, creating chaos. In the scuffle, he disarms Laurent and signals French police, tipped off earlier by Rossi's contacts. Celeste and Laurent are arrested, their network crumbling as evidence piles up. Before leaving Paris, Poirot visits the Louvre, gazing at a genuine Titian. The painting's beauty contrasts the ugliness he's uncovered. He mails the recorders, taped to Rossi, ensuring the Venice case ties to Paris. As he boards a train back, Poirot reflects on Isabella's flawed heroism. She played a dangerous game, but exposed a greater evil. The chapter closes with Poirot's train pulling into the night, Paris's lights fading. The order's heart is wounded, but its branches remain. In the next chapter, we'll see Poirot return to Venice for a final reckoning, confronting a surprise traitor who threatens to revive the conspiracy. Chapter 9. The Traitor's Gambit Back in Venice. The city basks in autumn's golden glow, its canals reflecting a deceptive calm. Hercule Poirot, fresh from Paris, steps off the train with a heavier heart but sharper resolve. The order of the Lion's network is fracturing, but a cryptic message from Commissario Rossi awaits. A traitor within the police force has been leaking information, helping the order evade capture. The message points to a familiar name, Officer Giovanni Bellini, the curator's nephew from the Cannaregio gallery, who guarded evidence during the Moretti case. Poirot's little grey cells spark. Bellini's access to the investigation and his family's art ties make him a perfect mole. The detective must outwit this traitor before the order regroups. Poirot meets Rossi at a secluded trattoria near the arsenal where shipbuilders' hammers echo. Rossi, haggard from sleepless nights, shares evidence. Bellini was seen passing documents to a masked figure during the carnival, and his bank account shows unexplained deposits, Poirot recalls. Bellini's nervous demeanor at the Palazzo Ducali, always hovering near the evidence room. To trap him, Poirot devises a ruse. He spreads word of a fake ledger supposedly found in the Lion's vault, to be unveiled at a public ceremony in Piazza San Marco. The bait is Seppellini. If guilty, will act to steal it, disguised as a priest. Poirot watches Bellini from a church overlooking the piazza. As the ceremony begins, with Rossi presenting a decoy box, Bellini slips into the crowd, his police uniform swapped for a cloak. Poirot tails him to a warehouse by the docks, where Bellini meets a shadowy figure, surviving order member, Signor Marco Vitali, a shipping magnate. They plan to smuggle the ledger out via a cargo ship. Poirot, using a hidden whistle, signals Rossi's men, who surround the warehouse. A tense standoff ensues. Vitali pulls a knife, but Bellini, panicked, confesses, "I only passed notes. Conti paid me." Vitali tries to flee across the docks, leaping onto a boat, but Poirot anticipated this, having sabotaged the engine. The police net both men as the tide rolls in. Interrogating Bellini, Poirot uncovers the traitor's motives. Debt and ambition drove him to betray his oath, feeding Conti information to weaken Isabella's defenses. Vitali, the order's last major player in Venice, planned to rebuild the network abroad. Poirot finds a final clue in Vitali's Paquita, list of order contacts in London, proving the conspiracy's global reach. He hands it to Rossi, urging international cooperation. Bellini, shamed, begs forgiveness, But Poirot is stern. Honor, monsieur, is not for sale. As evening settles, Poirot visits the gallery in Cannareggio, informing Signor Bellini of his nephew's betrayal. The old curator weeps, vowing to donate the lion painting to a museum in Isabella's honor. Poirot, touched, leaves him to his grief. The city's wounds are healing, but the scars of greed remain. The chapter ends with Poirot on a gondola, gliding under the Bridge of Sighs. The traitor's gambit is foiled, but the order's shadow lingers. In the final chapter, we'll witness Poirot's farewell to Venice, as he delivers a poignant reflection on justice and human nature, closing the case with a call to action for viewers. Chapter 10. Farewell to Venice. Venice glows under a harvest moon as Hercule Poirot prepares to leave, his suitcase packed and his mind heavy with the case's lessons. The murder at the Venice Carnival, sparked by Isabella Moretti's death, has unraveled a tapestry of greed, betrayal, and redemption. Tonight, in the quiet of his hotel balcony overlooking the Grand Canal, Poirot reflects on the journey from the glittering masquerade to the shadowy lion's vault, from Paris's galleries to Venice's docks. The Order of the Lion is dismantled. Its leaders Lucia, Vittorio, Conti, Celeste, Vitali, and Bellini behind bars or disgraced. Yet, Poirot knows the human flaws that fueled this crime will persist. As eternal as Venice's tides, he begins the day at San Michele Cemetery, laying a single white rose on Isabella's grave. Her will, now honored, donates her fortune to charity. Her fake pearls displayed in a museum as a cautionary tale. Poirot meets Carlo Viti one last time, now painting in a small studio by the lagoon. Carlo's latest work, a vibrant canvas of Venice's canals, captures hope, not tragedy. "You've given her peace, Monsieur Poirot," he says, offering a sketch as thanks. Poirot accepts, tucking it into his coat, a reminder of art's power to heal. At the Questura, Commissario Rossi, now a reluctant admirer, presents Poirot with a commendation from the city. "Venice owes you, signor," he grumbles, shaking Poirot's hand. The detective smiles, deflecting praise. The little grey cells merely listen to the truth. Rossi shares news. The London contacts from Vitali's list are under investigation, ensuring the order's collapse. Poirot advises vigilance, knowing greed wears many masks as twilight falls. Poirot takes a final gondola ride, the water reflecting stars and ancient palazzos. He recalls the carnival's chaos, where masks hid killers and allies alike. The case taught him that justice requires patience, observation, and courage to face the darkness within. Isabella, flawed yet brave, fought a corrupt system, her death a spark that lit the truth. Poirot muses aloud to the gondolier. The heart it deceives, but the mind it sees. The gondolier nods, accustomed to philosophical passengers. At the train station, Poirot boards the Orient Express, bound for new mysteries. He gazes at Venice's skyline, its domes and spires a testament to resilience. The case of the Venice Carnival murder is closed, but its echoes love, loss, and the fight for truth will linger in his memory. This tale of intrigue ends here, but Poirot's adventures continue. If you've enjoyed unraveling this mystery with us, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories of detection and drama. Until next time, keep your eyes sharp and your heart open. There's a mystery around every corner.